welcome to the Den. I'm your humble host, Daswolfen, your lone wolf elder geek of the internet, and I'd like to welcome you to Daswolfen's Random Stream of Randomness number 8. Today we're going to be going over a lot of the headlines of today, and then we might do a little gaming if that doesn't take too much time. And first of all, I'd like to say hi to Small Time Republic. Hello and welcome to the chat. I'm sure other people stop by as they get time. Unfortunately, this is a bad time because I think a couple other streamers in our circles are running today at this time. But I have to stream at 2 because otherwise I wouldn't get streamed today, because at 4 o'clock I'm going to be going to see Sound of Freedom, which I encourage everybody to go do. It is from all accounts, a powerful movie and something that everybody should see. And it deals with a subject that doesn't get a lot of airtime on the network news. So we need to get word out there and get people to go to this movie. I mean, people already have. It's made 85 million as of this last weekend, if I recall correctly. And that's pretty good for a movie that cost $14.6 million originally. And so they've definitely made a profit. Hey, Christian, welcome. Good to see you. Always good to see my friends show up. And anyway, speaking of box office, this weekend we have 2 movies coming out at the box office that's going to go head to head. Oppenheimer and Barbie, which the internet has called this entire weekend Barbieheimer, Heimer, whatever it is. Basically combining the two, like it's they're saying it everybody go to it as a double bill. And oh, good. Glad to see it's in Canada. It's definitely a good movie to go see. But anyway, so let's get to some of the headlines. Hang on. I just realized something. I have a technical glitch. I forgot that it doesn't like 4K. So I've got to go back to 1080p. Sorry about that. Let's try this again, shall we? There we go. Variety says the box office for Barbie is going to be 100 million this weekend, with 50 million for Oppenheimer, which is a big opening for a biopic like that. Barbie, I'm not sure about, but Oppenheimer, I know, is on my list of movies that I want to go to. More like barbecue, yeah. Somehow I don't think Oppenheimer's going to beat Barbie, but because the normies will go see Barbie. Even though by all accounts, well, I'll get into that about, I think I brought that up. No, I guess I didn't. Anyway, so supposedly Barbie is a super feminist woke movie, and which means those of us in the non-woke sphere probably won't enjoy it. I know that I know a lot of people have said that they want to see it and that are going to go see it, and but we'll see how it does. It may hit its 100 million, but we'll see what it does in the next week after. We got to see if it has legs. And unfortunately for Mission Impossible 7, it's got strong competition this week, so it being number 1 again is probably not going to happen. Although, with it being a Tom Cruise movie, I expect it's going to stay in the theaters a lot longer than the average movie does. Because if we look at the performance of Top Gun Maverick was in the theaters seemingly forever, and even after it was released on the streaming services and was available um, for purchase on uh, on demand. It still stayed in the theater, and it made its $1 billion. So we'll have to see if Mission Impossible 7 can have that kind of run. Personally, I hope it does because I love the movie. Um, it's kind of going to be an impromptu Mission Impossible 7 review, but as I said, I liked it. It's a 2 hours and 45 minute movie, and it didn't feel like it. I didn't notice the time at all. It doesn't stop. It's an action-packed movie. Has no real slowdowns. You know, it has sometimes that are full of action and sometimes that are a little action. So if you like action, I suggest you go see this movie. Tom Cruise kills it as Ethan Hunt. You see Kittredge come back again from the first movie. Um, he's worked his way into being the head of, basically the head of EMF or IMF and EMF. That's a band. Um, but yeah, so it's a really good movie, and the stunts are awesome. Um, not you've seen the motorcycle off the cliff scene, and that's in the first act. That's even before you hit that, before you even hit uh, the end credits or the beginning credits, if I remember right, before they even see the title of the movie. So let's get into this Barbie and Oppenheimer news according to Variety. Barbenheimer is officially here, and the battle between the bomb and the bombshell is about to ignite the box office. Greta Gerwig's cotton candy colored Barbie starring Margot Robbie as a plastic fantastic doll is expected to generate a huge 95 to 110 million from 4,200 North American theaters over the weekend. Given the omnipresence of Barbie, the marketing is practically inescapable, with enough memes and marketing tie-ins to last a lifetime. The initial estimates are all over the place. Warner Brothers is projecting a more conservative 75 million to start, while rivals and exhibitors believe the PG-13 movie could make as 140 million between Friday and Sunday. In any case, Barbie will claim the top spot over Nolan's atomic bomb drama Oppenheimer, which aims to collect a solid 50 million from 3,600 cinemas on Sunday. Universal is backing the R-rated historical biopic, which cost 100 million. Oppenheimer runs at 3 hours. Barbie clocks in at just under 2, which may limit the screenings per day. However, Nolan's epic will benefit from premium large format screens like IMAX, which is dedicated an entire footprint to his film for 3 weeks, which is why Mission Impossible actually released early so they could get some extra time in there, because Oppenheimer had basically paid to get all the IMAX screens. And while I didn't see it on IMAX, Mission Impossible definitely deserves to be on the IMAX screens. It's epic, and it just screams for it. Hey Zach, how's it going? Well, working and lurking's fine too. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Anyway, so to get back to this, together seemingly different blockbusters with twin release dates are fueling the phenomenon known as Barbie Hammer. AMC Theaters, the nation's biggest cinema chain, reported that 40,000 people have already purchased tickets for double features of Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day, up from 20,000 from last week. The $145 million budgeted Barbie stars too many A-listers to name, but we'll give it a shot. Ryan Gosling, Issa Rae, Dua Lipa, Simu Liu, Helen Mirren, John Cena, and Will Ferrell run out the cast of the fantasy comedy, which follows Barbie and Ken as they leave the comfort and familiarity of Barbie Land on a quest for self-discovery in the real world. Oppenheimer, adapted by Nolan from the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel American Prometheus, is an equally star-studded character study about the theoretical physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy plays the man who led the development of the atomic bomb alongside an ensemble of Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, and Aiden Enriques. The potent combination of Bobby Oppenheimer, as well as last weekend's champion Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, is expected to fuel one of the biggest box office weekends in ages. Summer season has likewise produced a string of underperforming options, like The Flash, Indiana Jones' Dial of Destiny, and Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Tom Cruise's newest Mission Impossible looks to add 28 to 30 million to its second weekend release, a decline of roughly 50% from this debut. The seventh installment of the Paramount and Skydance's globe-trotting action franchise opened in 56 million in North America, with 234 million globally. Cost 291 million before marketing, so Ethan Hunt's latest death-defying adventure needs to remain a draw throughout the summer to justify that price tag. Elsewhere, the unlikely box office hit The Sound of Freedom is eminently crossing the 100 million mark, which puts the film in the top 16 highest-grossing films of the year. The low-budget, faith-based movie about a child sex trafficking has generated a remarkable 85.7 million to date. That's thanks mostly to religious and conservative media groups that have rallied behind the film. All right, now first of all, this movie is not, Sound of Freedom is not a religious movie. It's a movie about human trafficking. The studio that bought it from Disney, because Fox had it. Disney bought Fox. Disney sat on it for that whole time, and Fox sat at it for the time before, from up to 5 years ago, because that's how long this movie's been out there. And Angel Studios, which is primarily a Christian movie producer, purchased the movies back from Disney. I believe I've heard anywhere from $5 to $10 million is what it cost for them to purchase it back from Disney, so that they could put it out there, so it'll get out there. Because otherwise, Disney would have sat on it forever, and I think we know why Disney would have sat on a movie that's about child trafficking. I don't need to spell that out for you, considering the some of the issues that have swirled around Disney's history in the past. So anyway, in other news, speaking of Disney, Marvel Studios to debut Disney Plus series Ms. Marvel on ABC to try and gin up interest in the Marvels. Now, we know that Ms. Marvel was one of the lowest rated Disney Plus movies or shows of all time, and certainly one of the lowest for Marvel. I don't know if Secret Invasion is doing worse. I've heard both sides of it, whether it was better than Ms. Marvel or worse than Ms. Marvel. Either way, Secret Invasion is not doing well. And with only 6 episodes, it only has a minute to get anybody interested. And while I'm watching it, I'm not that impressed with it. It certainly doesn't have the gravitas that the original Secret Invasions miniseries did for Marvel Comics. But so anyway, so they're going to release it live on Disney or live on ABC to try and get a wider set of eyes on it, and hopefully get interest in the Marvels coming out in November. Yes, I agree. Small Time Republic, Ms. Marvel was better than Secret Invasion. I actually liked Ms. Marvel. I thought Ms. Marvel was one of the better of the Disney Plus series. And in my opinion, the worst was obviously She-Hulk. But Ms. Marvel was something that Disney haven't put out for a while, and it was a family-oriented show. And it doesn't matter that the family was Pakistani and Muslim. That didn't matter. All that mattered was that the family was family, and that Disney put out a family-friendly show. And that's something they've gotten away from, and it's a reason why Disney has lost all this money, because that's their wheelhouse. That's always been their wheelhouse. Oh well, thank you, Christian Delorme, for the tip of $4.20. Nice number, very nice number. I will have to open up my Dream Elements and see if I can see if there's a message along with it as soon as I find a. So yeah, I appreciate it. Fortunately, I can't seem to bring it up right now. Wasn't expecting any tips, but it's fantastic. I got one, and I hope you're having a good day, Christian. It's always good to see you, as I said. Um, yeah, if you wouldn't mind posting in there, because I can't seem to bring up the Stream Elements. Doc, let me see if I can get to my okay. Christian Delorme's message was I'll post it in the chat. Thank you very much, Christian. Unfortunately, I can't drink, but I will use that to buy flavored water. Um, because of my operation I had in March, I can't have alcohol for a year. Otherwise, I would get a shot. But thank you very much. And anyway, where was we? Oh, Marvel Studios, yeah. Um, Says Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company announced a Disney Plus series, Ms. Marvel, to air on the Disney-owned ABC network in August in the lead up to the theatrical release of the Marvels. Press release shared by the TV series finale detailed Ms. Marvel's beaming to broadcast television. ABC will offer viewers the opportunity to watch all of the hit Disney Plus original series this summer ahead of Ms. Marvel's theatrical debut in The Marvels on November 10th, with the first 3 episodes airing on ABC Saturday, August 5th, and the final 3 episodes on Saturday, August 12th, from 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The Walt Disney Company has attempted this trick before, albeit it does not appear to have significantly swayed anyone. The company attempted to drive ABC, Freeform, FX, and Hulu viewers to Disney Plus by offering the first 2 episodes of the Star Wars series Andor on the aforementioned networks. Now, the problem with doing that is Andor is a slow burn. It takes a little while to get going, and as far as I'm concerned, Andor is obviously the second best of the Star Wars series, and certainly better than the last season of The Mandalorian. I don't know if it's going to be better than Ahsoka because I'm a big Ahsoka stan, so I'll definitely be tuning in for Ahsoka. But I thought Andor, well, the reason why I liked Andor so much is because I was a big fan of Rogue One. I feel it's the only good movie that Disney Star Wars has done, and uh, it really has a grounded feel and a connection to the original series that none of the others do. The sequel trilogy um, may have three of the original stars until we lost Carrie Fisher in it, but they completely failed on all sorts of fronts, including giving us uh, Han, Luke, and Leia on screen at the same time. And that was a huge mistake on Disney's part. That should have been one of the first things that they shot was a scene with all three of them, because if they're going to rely on member berries for a show to generate buzz, then having the three main cast available would been amazing. And I think we could have had uh, uh, Chewie there as well, because I think the actor who plays him was still alive at that point when The Force Awakens came out. But anyway, to go back to Marvel Disney, um, they released the first two episodes. Let's see, first two episodes back to back on the ABC on the ABC on November 23rd, on FX on November 24th, and Freeform on November 25th, on Hulu between November 23rd and December 7th. Press release announcing this stated to celebrate the highly anticipated Andor finale on Disney Plus and to help kick off the Thanksgiving Day holiday, Walt Disney Company will offer viewers a special opportunity to watch the first two episodes of the acclaimed series across its unparalleled distribution platforms, including ABC, FX, Freeform, and Hulu. The company was clearly attempting to try and get buyers to use some of their Black Friday shopping money to purchase a subscription to Disney Plus, and was using Andor as the bait. Gimmick did not appear to affect viewership as tracked by Nielsen for Andor on Disney Plus. They attempted a similar gimmick in the lead up to the third season of The Mandalorian. They released the show's first episode on ABC, Freeform, and FX at 8 p.m. on February 24th in an attempt to convert viewers to Disney Plus. While it's unclear how many subscriptions they might have generated through the gimmick, data tracking firm Samba TV reported The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere had less viewership than The Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's an ouch. If you've seen Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's an ouch. The company reported that 1.6 million U.S. households watched the Season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian, compared to 1.7 million for The Book of Boba Fett in its first 5 days, and 2.14 million for Obi-Wan Kenobi in its first 4 days. Not only does it appear that the Walt Disney Company is trying to gin up interest in the Marvels by debuting Ms. Marvel on its network cable channels, at that Park Place, investigative reporter Jonas J. Campbell, who I'd like to shout out the Park Place. I got plenty of friends there that are working, that are on their platform, and they're an excellent source of Disney news. Anyway, Campbell also believes it's a way for the company to move around some of its poor finances impacting its streaming products. Campbell told Scooper and YouTuber WDOW Pro, well, right now the costs of Ms. Marvel are sitting in the Disney Plus books. All of the expense and all the revenue are on Disney Plus. When they put something like on ABC, like they did with Andor on Freeform and FX and Hulu, what they get to do is they get to come with their own number of what they're going to charge their cable networks and their broadcast networks. He continued, now they have to justify what that number is. If it gets too crazy, they'll end up getting under IRS scrutiny. But in this case, they get to say, oh no, it didn't cost Disney Plus this much because the cost was defrayed by the fact we put it on ABC or Hulu or FX. So they get to reduce the expense on Disney Plus in their quest. As they've stated, they are going to make Disney Plus profitable by September of 2024, he shared. What do you make of this gimmick and the Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios are employing? Yeah, I didn't Small Time Republic, I didn't like her character either, but you're not supposed to like her. That's the whole point. Um, she's supposed to be that overbearing, annoying parent that doesn't believe their child's any good and not going to make good on his potential when he's actually doing everything he can to make sure he does. But yeah, so what do you think of Ms. Marvel being on the broadcast networks? Do you think it's going to work for them and gym up uh, interest in the Marvels, or is the Marvels going to be DOA like everybody anticipates it will be? Now, I'll be honest, I'm going to go see it, but that's not saying anything because I have a pathological need to go see every superhero movie at the theater. Excuse me. Um, I think it's going to do 50 to 60 million, maybe, if that. Um, but because of the dislike of Brie Larson and Ms. Marvel and the Captain Marvel character being such a Mary Sue. Um, she's I don't know. Brie Larson just wasn't right for the part in the first place, but that's a whole other argument and a whole other can of worms. So we got another Disney article. Actually, we got a couple. First of all, Bob Iger at one point has said he wanted to keep the company out of the culture wars, and yet the company promotes the Marvels with vile identity politics. Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios continue to double down on the culture war despite the company's Bob Iger recently claiming he wanted to keep the company out of any kind of culture war. Probably because they get their butt whipped and their stock goes down. In an interview with CNBC's David Faber, Iger was asked about how he would respond to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' accusations that the Walt Disney Company was sexualizing children and had become a woke corporation. Iger answered, "Well, so far what we said publicly is we're concerned he has decided to retaliate against the company for a position the company took on pending legislation in the state. And frankly, the company was within its rights. Even though I'm not sure it was handled very well, it was within its rights to speak up on an issue constitutionally protected right of free speech, and retaliating against the company in any way would be harmful to the business. That was not something we could sit back and tolerate. And so we have filed a lawsuit to protect our First Amendment rights and to protect our business, frankly." Iger then revealed he doesn't want the company to get into any kind of culture war. The other issues that you referenced, the last thing I want is for the company to be drawn in any culture wars. You know, we've operated for almost 100 years as a company making product we're actually proud of in terms of its impact on the world. I joke every once in a while we're there to manufacture fun. Okay, I got to stop there. Sorry. Your goal in the last 10 years has not been to manufacture fun, has not been to create a positive impact in the world. Your job has been to spread the agenda of the woke left and other, I don't want to use marginalized, but other small groups at a greater market share of the world than they would actually normally have. So that's what your business, you've lost Disney's threat. you've lost what Disney has been about. Disney is supposed to be I know I've said this before. Disney's supposed to be a family company, and it's a shame that they've gotten away from that. I miss when I was a kid. I watched Wonderful World of Disney growing up. I went to Disney movies. I mean, up until the 90s, early 2000s, Disney was tried to primarily do family friendly content. Now they put out stuff that's not. And yes, if he doesn't want to be in the culture war, then he needs to put a leash on his nut jobs. Most definitely. While they've gotten rid of a few, they still have people in the ranks that are woke and want to push their agendas on groups that shouldn't be getting that information that early. Anyway, to continue, he would later reiterate, I don't want to engage in the specifics except to say that it's not our goal to be involved in the culture war. Our goal is to continue to tell wonderful stories and have a positive impact on the world. We are the preeminent entertainer in the world, and we're proud of our track record there. The notion that Disney is anyway sexualizing children is, quite frankly, preposterous and inaccurate. Obviously, Bob Iger doesn't review his own products. Just days after these comments, the first big promotional push for the upcoming Marvels sees the Walt Disney Company promoting it through vile identity politics, one of the major weapons used to attack Americans in the culture war. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly about the film, Fiona Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau in the film, who is the character I'm most excited to see in it, shared that I'm excited that the MCU has 3 lead women, all from very diverse backgrounds, and all baddies in their own way. She added, it's going to be really exciting to see these smart, fun, intelligent, and troubled women find their way. Now, Kingsport Cow, welcome. Yes, Disney did do that, but they did it in a way that went over children's heads. It's like a lot of 90s cartoons. They put in stuff that was obviously adult humor as an adult realizes it, but a kid won't get the joke. And that's the difference. Also, yeah, it wasn't Disney. The animators a lot of times did stuff like the penis-shaped towers on the poster for The Little Mermaid. Which obviously got changed later on, but if when the original clamshell came out, that was kind of an obvious thing. But that's more artists and animators, not Disney process. Now it's their process to lower that bar as to what's acceptable. What's an acceptable age for those innuendos and jokes. Anyway, Paris was not the only one to push culture war talking points to promote the film. Brie Larson, who reprises her role as Captain Marvel, also pushed the diversity as our strength messaging. She told Entertainment Weekly, I understand the feeling of being afraid to let go of control, being afraid of passing on responsibility to others. You almost want to take on all the burden yourself. So I think there's this incredible metaphor for learning how to be a team, and it's a very clear example that no one can do it all. You need all kinds of skill sets, all kinds of people with different viewpoints and different backgrounds in order to save the world, she asserted. Zoe Ashton, who plays the gender swap Kree villain Dar-Ben, also made it clear this is a girl power film, if she wasn't already. She said, "This is an all-female sci-fi extravaganza with women on the other side of with a woman on the other side of the camera. I feel very moved, actually being involved. It's not an environment you're often in. A huge budget movie with all these badass women and Samuel L. Jackson. That just doesn't happen," she said. Iman Vellani, who reprises her role as Ms. Marvel, seems to be the only one to push back on this narrative, albeit she appeared to falsely buy into the ideology of transgenderism that posts you can change your sex from male to female or female to male, and males can identify as females and vice versa. She said, we're lucky because we have such a plethora of female characters with real flaws and real arcs. Time and again has proven not only these stories have such a robust fan base, but they sell. Okay. However, she then declared Marvel's always championed the idea of finding this idealized version of yourself through the characters, the version of yourself that can fly in space or stop a train with one hand. I think that aspiration to be greater than who you are is such a universal feeling, regardless of gender identity. I hope that you can recognize that and find ways to identify with all our characters. Yep, and you're right, King Sport Cow. Definitely right. And I liked the show too. I thought it was fun, and I thought it was a good family show. All right. Also in Walt Disney news, I don't know if you saw the pictures that were put out of Snow White and the 7 non-dwarves. Initially, they said that wasn't from the production, but they've recently recanted that and admitted that they're real. See, yeah, there's the 7 dwarfs from the film. I'm not going to go deep into this, but they've admitted that those are actually from the Snow White remake coming out. And it's probably going to do as well as all their other remakes have done, which is not very well. Now, but there is a reason why they've gone this route. And that's because of the words that a certain actor had for the for them casting dwarven actors. Well, that wasn't well received by his fellow fellow actors of shorter stature, shall we say, and that they were upset that Peter Dinklage had cost them these 7 roles that were coming up, and they've instead they've got one, but the rest of them seem to be of varying heights. Although it is really hard to fully tell how tall they are without a known something in the foreground or background to let us know how the actual scale. But yeah, so so we'll see how this one develops. I got a feeling we're gonna hear more garbage as it gets closer to being released, and thankfully that's been put on hold thanks to the SAG and WGA strikes. Which, no, I don't want to do that one. Let's do this one. SAG after an AMPTP yeah, that's always pandering to nut jobs that never watch the movies. That's right. They go after these small groups, just like my D&D has. I play D&D, and Wizards of the Coast has gone after a small minority of people that played and just ignored ignore their customer base. Put a chokehold on them and call them little people. Those seven people don't look like they're ready for off. It's off to work we go. No, they look like they're off to go get stoned because they all look like hippies. Yeah, and you're right. Back in the day, blackface was blackface is different than an actual little person playing a role written for a little person. Um, just like one of the worst movies that John Wayne ever did was Genghis Khan, where he basically was in yellowface. He's a white American playing an Asian role. See, I don't agree with that. If it's an Asian role, it should go to an Asian. The inverse is also the same. If the role is traditionally white, then it should go to a white person. Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any sort of gender swap at some points, but just don't do it for reasons of gender swapping, just to earn your points. Anyway, to get back to the what's going on with those oh so maligned actors and writers, shall we? And anyway, the Sparba terms rejected contract offer. Deliberately distort, says AMPTP. Rewarded for exploiting workers, says the union. SAG-AFTRA and Hollywood's largest employers are sparring over the terms of the offer that SAG-AFTRA rejected before the union went on strike last week. SAG-AFTRA issued a detailed statement outlining the objections to the deal presented last week after last week's of bargaining with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. The AMPTP countered late Monday with a lengthy statement that accused the union of trying to deliberately distort the terms of the employer's offer. SAG-AFTRA opened up its statement to members by declaring that the union is fighting against a system where those in charge of multi-billion-dollar media conglomerates are rewarded for exploiting workers. SAG-AFTRA called the strike against AMPTP companies on July 12th. The Writers Guild of America has been on strike since May 2nd. The AMTPA asserted that the rejected offer was worth more than $1 billion in wage increases, pension and health contributions, and residual increases, including first-of-their-kind protections over its 3-year term, including expressly with respect to AI. SAG-AFTRA, on the contrary, asserted the statement that headlined, "We're fighting for the survival of our profession," that AMPTP negotiators would meaningfully engage on the most critical issues that drew a sharp response from the management side. The AMPTP's goal from day one is to come to a mutually beneficial agreement with SAG-AFTRA. A strike is not the outcome we wanted. For SAG-AFTRA to assert that we've not been responsive to the needs of its membership is disingenuous at best, the statement read. AMPTP further criticized SAG-AFTRA for its mischaracterization of the offer in terms that haven't been shared with members. Not only does SAG-AFTRA's press release distort the offers made by AMPTP, it also fails to include the proposal offered verbally to SAG-AFTRA leadership on July 12th, AMPTP stated. On the hot-button issue of AI protection, the union was blunt about its interpretation of one aspect of the complex proposal that relates to background actors. In SAG-AFTRA's view, the AMPTP deal on the table would allow producers to scan a background performer's image, pay them for a half day's labor, then use the individual's likeness for any purpose forever without their consent. This topic has been a flashpoint for management side sources who maintain the proposal is not nearly as broad as being portrayed. SAG-AFTRA further asserted that the AMPTP would offer would mean a lack of protection for such things such as making changes to principal performers' dialogue and even creating new scenes without informed consent, as well as to use someone else's image, likeness, performance to train new generative AI systems without the consent or compensation. In all, the AMPTP emphasized the deal included the highest increases in contract minimums for various wage categories in more than 35 years. SAG-AFTRA has sought an 11% hike in minimums across the board, citing the income eroding effects of inflation. The AMPTP, in its statement, noted that it agreed to the 11% pay increase for job categories on the lower end of the pay scale, namely background actors, stand-ins, and photo doubles. Here are the rundowns of the key contract points released Monday by the AMPTP and the SAG-AFTRA. Well, see you later, Christian. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. All right. The AMTP statement said the highest wage increases for minimums over 35 years, 75% increase in the high budget SVOD foreign residuals, substantial increase in pension and health contribution caps, groundbreaking AI proposal which protects performers' digital likenesses, including the requirements for performers' consent for the creation and use of digital replicas or for the digital alterations of performance, 58% increase in the salaries for major role guest star performers on wages on high-budget SVOD programs, limitation of self-tape requests including page, time, and tech requirements, options for virtual or in-person auditions, 11% pay increase for year one. In year one for background actors, stand-ins, and photo doubles, an additional 17% increase for background actors required to do extensive self-styling, and an additional 62% increase for stand-ins required to deliver lines during a run-through, or photo doubles required to memorize and deliver lines on camera. First time ever fixed residuals for stunt coordinators on television and high-budget SVOD programs. Shortened periods for series regulars earning less than $65,000 per episode on a half-hour series or less than $70,000 per episode as a 1-hour series. Dancers will now receive the on-camera rate for rehearsal days. Additional payments of 25% for dancers required to sing on camera during principal photography, as well as singers required to dance on camera. First of its kind provision establishing rates, terms, conditions for high budget programs made for AVOD. Hair, makeup, consultation on performers of all complexions and hair textures. Limits on the amount of initial compensation that can be advanced or prepaid as residuals. Now, SAG-AFTRA said that performers need minimum earnings simply to keep up with inflation. We need an 11% general wage increase in year one so our members can recover from record inflation due to previous contract terms. Now, they want every actor to receive that. Anyway, so let me go back. The most we'll give you is 5%, even though it means your 2023 earnings are effectively a significant pay cut due to inflation. It's likely you'll still be working for less than your 2020 wages in 2026. Performers need the protection of our images and performance to prevent the replacement of human performers by artificial intelligence. Here's a comprehensive set of provisions that grant informed consent and fair use compensation when digital replica is made or a performance is changed using AI. Then we want to be able to. Okay. This is basically them saying that what the studios offered was not what they offered. And I don't, this is like a he said, this is a he said, she said kind of situation where you don't, unless you're actually in to see what was said, then who knows. The thing is, I would, as much as I would like to see them come together, there's a few points. I don't think SAG-AFTRA has an issue or has too much of an issue, although making sure that the highest paid among them gets a pay increase is perhaps a little much. Certainly, bag and minor players could get an increase um, as well. But the people that are not quite background, but not quite main stars either. So like the guest spots and stuff should get an increase. Um, so I really don't have an issue with what they're acting. It seems like they got offered something that was close to what they wanted, and they're going, no, we want it all. So, but I do have a problem with the writers. There's two sticking points, as far as I'm concerned, that would be no goes if I was part of the negotiation, and that is they're asking for a guaranteed number of writers on a project, and they're asking for a guaranteed minimum payment or guaranteed minimum amount of work they want to get paid for. And basically, they're basically wanting to get paid for time that they're not working. And that's just not wrong. That's entirely possible, because what happened in 1960 was that when the actors went on strike, or when the writers went on strike, the actors went on strike and basically they basically forced the hand of Hollywood. And they included likes of Ronald Reagan and who else? Tony Curtis, Janet Leigh. Yeah, so basically going forward, lots of big name actors, and they got negotiation. They got negotiations rolling, and they got it straightened up fairly quickly. Yes, the actors are being definitely more realistic than the writers. The problem is there's too many bad writers that don't get called on their bad writing. And personally, I think that writing, should be a merit position. You should be a good writer to be able to continue writing in Hollywood. If you're a poor writer, you should it used to be if you do a poor job, you're not doing that job anymore. Now they do a poor job and they just don't care because they've got they're in a union and they can't get fired. That's an issue to me. I think that it should be married. It's like if an actor's bad, they're not going to get work. And although lately a lot more actors that are bad have gotten work just because they check certain boxes, which I don't think is fair at all. But anyway, well, looks like my hour is almost up. I'd like to thank my chat for being here. Thank you to Christian Delorme for the donation. Thank you very much for Kingsport Cal and Small Time Republic for being here. Thank you, Zax, for being here and being and lurking. I hope that you'll turn in next time, because next week is episode 2 of my Showa era Godzilla, where I finish out the Showa era and go over the movies that that are remaining in that list. And then we'll look forward after that to doing the Heisei era and the rest of the eras, Millennium and what is it? Reiwa is the current generation that of era. But we'll go through them, and eventually I'll get them all. And by the time I imagine by the time I get there, that the get through all of them, that the new Godzilla movie, Godzilla Minus One, will be at theaters because it comes out December 1st here in the United States, and I I'm extremely happy over that because you know me, I'm a big Godzilla fan. So thank you very much. You all have a good day, and I will see you around the internet. Have a good one.